Well, welcome back to the Be Unexpected podcast with Wyatt and Jake. And today we're just going to be talking to each other, and I'm going to be interviewing Wyatt a little bit more about his story and some kind of things he experienced when he was younger and leading up to today. It's just always fun diving into each other's story. We obviously love interviewing other people, but yeah, it's just a little more. It means a little more when we're talking to each other about stuff from our past and leading up to today.
Yeah, and I think it just helps people understand why we started this podcast. Yeah, we started for fun, but there's kind of a story behind why we have our friendship and started this podcast together. So
yeah, it is cool diving into just how everything has led up to today. Talking about how my car accident affected me, and then with you with CP, and just how everything lead up, and just doing this has brought us a lot of joy in talking with other people, but diving into our story too is really cool too. So we'll go ahead and get started, Wyatt. So I remember you shared with us a few episodes back, so if you haven't heard that, go check that out. But Wyatt told us about when he was younger, we had CP, he thought he could just get rid of it. So talking with his dad when he was younger in elementary school, he thought it was something that he could just heal or just get rid of. And so leading up to that, you're thinking, oh, I'm waiting to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this. Wyatt, do you remember kind of at what point you finally realized, okay, this is not going away, and this is what I'm gonna have to work with the rest of my life?
probably getting in middle school, I just kind of slowly realized all right, I'm a little different than my friends, and I really can I communicate really well, so I'm blessed with that. But physically, I'm behind you and my twin brother Wes, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And probably I didn't really accept having a disability till 8th grade. I just was okay, look, I'm probably not gonna make the middle school basketball team. I actually tried out in 8th grade just to for the experience to try out. I knew I was gonna make the reserves or the intramural team, but I just wanted to play, and so I just kind of accepted, all right, I have a disability. I mean, I thought about going out for, freshman basketball in high school, but then I was nah, I'm just going to be the manager, and I can just go wherever Wes goes. Wes is on JV, varsity, freshman, whatever. That's where I'm going to go, too. So, and wherever my twin brother would go and play, that's what I would do. And it was hard to accept. I mean, I just, wanted to play high school basketball and football like all the rest of our friends. But then too, 7th grade the year before, I started Special Olympics, and I think that helped me realize there's this league I can play in. I'm exactly like a lot of these other athletes where we're good athletes. It's I think I might have said this in a recent episode, but our bodies, we're adults, but our bodies are stuck in that middle school where you're uncoordinated, and your body's just trying to grow. People with disabilities, a lot of us we're just stuck in that middle school body where you're uncoordinated and just gonna be a little uncoordinated the rest of your life. And I just kind of accepted that. Maybe I started to in 7th grade, but really in 8th grade I was all right, I'm gonna play Special Olympics, and I still have good opportunities now that I found Special Olympics and everything, but it was hard. Middle school, I'd always get kind of down, sitting on the bench. I was the bat boy for Weston's baseball teams, and I'd see him playing, and I'd want to play, but in 6th grade was really hard for me. I went to depression and everything, and I think I just had to learn to cope with it, man. And that's I said, basketball, shooting hoops in the driveway is something I did that really helped me do that. But yeah, 8th grade, and then, which was good because once I got in high school, it was you better just realize, okay, you're the manager, you're not going to play. So
Yeah, so obviously with Special Olympics, now it's you've traveled to Florida, Washington, there's a lot of stuff in the state of Nebraska. Was it like that in 8th grade and 9th grade, or have things really expanded with Special Olympics around the whole United States over the last few years?
I think it's really expanded, unified. So unified, you're a unified player because you don't have a disability, and then they call me the players with disabilities, athletes. So like we're athletes, and so unified. I think really got big when I was a senior in high school, and they really wanted to put unified teams more together. More it was like traditional, like so like all athletes, and like Weston, my twin brother West, and my best friend Kenny Bristol. They were our coaches. They didn't play with us yet, and so it was just all athletes, and that they call that traditional, like I said. So we did that like from seventh grade to junior year of high school. It was all traditional, like, at least for like the Fremont team, which was fun. I mean, I think traditional is good too because then it's like it's all up to the athletes, you know, and it's kind of exciting at the end because you don't know what's gonna happen. There's no unified player to kind of help bail you out or to coach you on the floor, and that was really fun for me because I played a bunch. Like I've never come out because I could handle the ball really well, and so I would play like a full 2 games in a row in our tournaments, and I think playing traditional really taught me how to be a leader because had to help my teammates out on the court or football field, and uh, so that was kind of big. But then like when you guys would come to our games, that helped. Like I think middle school I got Kenny to come, and then by sophomore year I remember you guys all came one year, and that was really big and just like getting the word out. But now it's like it's easier kind of because they have unified schools, so like the Millard schools and a couple Omaha schools and Lincoln schools are unified schools where they have like unified sports, or they'll play like I know like Papillion does a big unified basketball game where the whole student body shows up. So now I think it's like it's not. We still have a long ways to go, but it's getting to more where it's like it's kind of like a regular sport for high school. We're trying to make it like that. Well, before it's like I'd have to go tell you at school, like, hey, Jake, come to my Special Olympic game, you know? And, like, a lot of guys are like, what's that? It's like, well, it's a basketball game. It's just called Special Olympics. Yeah. So come to my game. I come to all your guys' high school games.
Yeah. Stop asking, you can come to 2.
Yeah, just like, I come to, like, 20 of your games. You can't come to 2 of my games. Some of my friends, I would tell that. It's like, dude, it's like 2 games. So, but, yeah, I think now, like, some of the stuff they have for high schools now, the unified sports and the unified programs, I wish they would have had that when we were in high school. I think it would have been really cool to like play in front of the Fremont student body in a basketball game, and I mean, you'd feel like part of the school, and that's what unified is really trying to do, trying to make everything inclusive and everyone can be a part of Special Olympics. So yeah, it's really grown, and I'm working for Special Olympics now, Special Olympics Nebraska, and just trying to help it grow more.
Yeah. So for like these unified teams in Omaha or Papillion, let's say it's in basketball season, you're playing for, I don't know, Papillion La Vista, can you still do unified? Because I thought I saw something back like last winter, some high school athlete got in trouble or suspended because they were participating in unified Special Olympics. Do you know anything about that?
I don't really know much about that. I know like I think West would never play in
like
the February term. Yeah, like during the season. But it didn't really... I mean, like I said, we didn't play unified till senior year.
Yeah.
So it was all traditional. And
right.
I mean, I don't really know all the rules and stuff, but I know like we have a relationship with the... Is it NSA or whatever it's called?
NSAA, yeah.
NSAA, yeah. And so... And we have a really good relationship with them. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure on all that, but yeah, it was kind of a bum situation for that player. But hopefully, maybe they'll change the rule in the future. Because I know, like for unified, like that is only for high school students. But like mine was like kind of like a more community thing. Because we had like all ages. Like I was in high school, but I was playing with like 30 and 40-year-olds and older. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. And like, hopefully they can figure that out in the future. I don't see what the big deal is really. I mean, the guy's not like taking over.
Right.
But yeah.
So with Special Olympics, over the years, I mean, you've definitely used your situation. I mean, you're influencing people, you're speaking, you're positive, you're just a great like person, just the environment you bring. So did Special Olympics help you grow in that over years, like leading to high school, or was there a specific like time or person who really just changed your trajectory of your mindset? I know that your brother played a huge role, but was there some other stuff?
Yeah, so definitely joining Special Olympics. I had all these goals and like dreams now. Like I wanted to win several state championships for Special Olympics. I wanted to play on the varsity for Special Olympics. I played like on the JV team for like years, and my goal was to get to the varsity basketball team and to become the number one tennis player in the state of Nebraska. And I think like watching pro athletes, like I don't know, I just had like this thought come over me one time. I was probably watching Sports Center and they were interviewing like a NBA player or something, but I was like, okay, I'll never make the pros, obviously. Okay, I can't even play high school basketball. I always told my brother Wes, it's like, you have better try making the pros than I do. You have a 1% chance. I have a negative, like, 1,000% chance to make it.
I'll be your.
But
Tell me to be his agent.
yeah, I was like, I need you to get good because like we'll be 19 at the end of high school and go straight to the NBA.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. But anyway, I just thought like I may not be able to like make the pros, but doesn't mean I can't have the same mindset as a pro athlete, like of making these sacrifices and doing like crazy workouts. Like, I mean, I would work out like 4 to like sometimes 8 hours a day in the summertime, and like I'd go play tennis for 4 hours, basketball for like 2.5, lift for 30 minutes, throw the football for an hour, maybe go run a mile. If I didn't reach like a certain time, like by time I mean hours, like all right, I've only practiced for like 6.5 or 7.5 hours. I need 30 more minutes, so I'd go run a mile or something. And I just would do like these insane workouts in the summertime because I wanted it. I wanted to be good. And you know, in high school, like you think about like hanging out with your friends and stuff, and I wanted to hang out with my friends, but I kind of had like a bigger picture. Like, all right, I want to be good in my state tournament, and I'm not gonna be good by like going out and then sleeping in. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna get up early. I'm gonna go shoot 500 shots in the morning. Go play tennis in the afternoon. Like I could just see my visions and dreams where I wanted for the future, and I mean, you have to make sacrifices. So sometimes that was friendships, but like my really close friends in high school, like Kenny Bristol and LA Globe, like they just kind of knew that's who I was, and I was gonna, sometimes not go hang out, and I just like kind of took that from pro athletes. Like they made sacrifices probably to like put in the work ethic, and they probably didn't go out and hang out with their friends all the time. So that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna get up early and work out so I could try to be the best special like athlete I could be, and someday maybe be like the number one tennis player in Nebraska.
Yeah.
So
I know that. Was there specific athletes? I know that like Kobe had that mindset. Were you? Was it like Allen Iverson? Who were some of the like big athletes you loved when you were little?
So when I was little, probably like Tracy McGrady was
yeah.
my guy.
Yeah.
I love Tracy McGrady.
Oh man, he was good.
And then Steve Nash. I actually watched this documentary about him a couple days ago. I love Steve Nash. And it was like, like the kid books you get and you read them and it just kind of tells you about their story briefly.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of liked Steve Nash. And then probably like Michael Jordan. That's probably the guy I kind of like thought of and wanted to be like the most, like, because he was just so driven and he was the best.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be the best. Now, did I always say like I was the best in something? No, because I'm not going to tell someone I'm the best if I'm like ranked 5 or 10. But if I am number one, I'll say I'm the best at something. But at that point in time, I was like probably like top. I was like second or third in state in tennis. I still played JV on the JV team in basketball. Actually, by high school, I was kind of both. Like I was a sub on varsity, but started on JV, and so I was still like working towards that goal. But like I would think about Tracy McGrady or even Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant was my least favorite player because I was a Celtics fan. So I was just so I was a basketball player. I didn't really like Kobe until like probably like later on, but I respected Kobe a lot though because like his mindset and his work ethic. He just wanted to wear a different jersey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but so like Kobe and LeBron. I really liked when LeBron was in Cleveland for like the first 7 years. I really liked him, and just any pro athlete really. The first quarterback I ever liked was Dante Culpepper. And so I really liked him because I was a Minnesota Vikings fan. So, and then just watching my siblings, like my sister was, my sister Jessica was like the number one tennis player on the Fremont tennis team, played number one singles, and won number two doubles in state like her sophomore year. And then my sister Michaela played college tennis at UNO. You know, Wes was a good athlete, so I just like I wanted to be as good as my siblings were and as good as my parents were because both my parents played college sports. So that kind of drove me too. Like I don't want to be like the worst one in my family. I don't want to be like terrible. I at least want to be good. So that drove me to like want to be better. And then like as I got older, like I don't know why, but I just kind of used my dad and my brother. Like at first I wanted to be as good as they were, and then probably around age 23, 24, I was like, I don't want to be as good as them. I want to be better than them. Like when they think about our family, like yeah, like they all played at a higher level than I did. I will say because they played high school and college, obviously. But at my level, I'm playing at the highest level I can possibly play at. And when they think about our family, I want them to think about me first. I don't want to think about Wes or my dad. I want to think about me. And so that's kind of like what I've kind of driven myself. But my family was a huge impact of like me trying to be good at sports because I looked up to all of them and wanted to be good athletes like them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember when we were little, you always see these athletes, and then you see the kids older than you too. Like, I want to be like them. So I'd see like Dwayne Wade and Drew Brees or whoever. And, like, how did they get there? And then also looking at when watching like Fremont athletics when I was younger. You know, you'd see I think like Matt Donahue and like Derek McKinnon, like
yeah,
just those and just like those guys when we were like in elementary school. Like, I want to be like them, but then obviously you had the mindset like, okay, I don't want to be like them. I want to be better. So
yeah.
and then that's what motivated you a lot to like work like 8 hours, work out 8 hours a day, run extra mile, shoot extra hoops, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and like sometimes it wasn't the best. Like Wes and I always talk about like, man, we were terrible at recovery, and recovery is like so important. But I was just like, I would literally make myself sick because I would just like run my body into the ground, and I'd be so tired. And with CP, with cerebral palsy, you really can tell because it's like you get this pain and the CP pain, and I would just go until I really couldn't go anymore. And
What's this
as the weeks
CP?
went on, I got
You just
more
feel
tired.
more weak, or
Yeah, like my legs would feel really heavy. I mean, like my muscles would just kind of like spasm up, or like the muscles would just like it's like this pounding pain, and then like just burning on your feet, and then just like it's kind of hard to like explain because like you know if you have CP, you kind of know what I'm
yeah,
talking about, but like you just get this fatigue, and maybe where like Wes could just keep going, like I could not keep
yeah.
going like on a Saturday or Friday, but he could, and I just like I gotta rest, like I can't, like I literally cannot like get up and go anymore. I'm so sore, and so but some days I would just play basketball in the wintertime, and I would literally play like 6 days a week and only take Sundays off or Saturdays off, and that was it. Like
Yeah. So, and with all this working out in school, you had a few jobs in high school, and maybe even,
yeah,
or was it in high school you started working at Hy-Vee? And then what other things did you do, and then talk about leading up to today, were you actually working for Special Olympics and what you're doing?
yeah. So I worked at Hy-Vee in high school, and I
I
worked
feel like
there.
everyone did.
I know it was easy because like they let you like just. I mean, they were cool with your
Yeah.
sports. If you want to take all winter off because of basketball season, they let you do it, and then you come back in the summertime.
Mm.
So that was nice. And then so I worked there, but honestly, I tried to work as less as like not that much, just so my parents would get off my back about working, so I could work out. So I just tried to like make a certain amount of hours. Like, all right, I'm working this many hours, and then I'd like because I'd only work like maybe 3 or 4 days a week, and then on the days I didn't work, I would worked out all day, and so I worked there, and then in college I was a manager for the Midland basketball team, which they paid me to do, which was cool. So that was nice. And then I worked at the YMCA. I was like, you know, like the wellness center, the weight room. Like you just check them in.
Yeah.
And I also like then taught tennis lessons in the summertime. So that was like a pretty easy job, pretty laid back. And I mean, the wellness center was kind of boring because all you did was
Yeah.
sit there.
Stand there.
Like I would have some jobs. Like some of my friends would be like, "Dude, how could you work there? Isn't that boring?" It's like, yeah, but it's easy money, man. I mean, I'm not really getting the jobs I want, so I'll take this job. And so I worked there in college for like 2 years. Then I worked at this place called Roots to Wings in Arlington, and it's like a craft store, but they hire people with disabilities. And it was kind of like somewhere you could go to. So like you graduate high school, and then you could instead of college, you could go to like some place like Roots to Wings, and they could teach you how to run a business, and then you could like have a job. Because like having a disability, it's really hard to get a job sometimes because I think people don't always understand your situation. Like Ivy was good because they hired a lot of employees with disabilities, but sometimes I wanted to do something else besides work at Ivy, so I'd go out and try to do job interviews, and I'd either get a rejection letter right away without getting an interview, or I'd have the interview but never make it past the first one. And I think it was just hard too because my situation with getting sick and having a disability, because that was the thing, I can't work full time. I always had these jobs where I stood like during the day, so it would, like kill my legs, and so I just like couldn't work that long hours. Like I'd work like 4 to 6 hours maybe, so that was always a problem too with finding jobs. So Roots and Wings was good. I worked on my speaking. I spoke for the company to help try to promote it because it was like a brand new business, and then I just worked at cash register. We like grew our own vegetables in this garden, so it was a cool experience. It was arts and crafts though stuff, and I wasn't really good at that, so it wasn't like my ideal job. But I liked the people there, and it was a great experience. And then I finally got the job I wanted ever since like high school, and I was working at Nebraska Sports. And I worked at Nebraska Sports for, it's hard because there was COVID year in between, but like I think 4 or 5 years. So 2018 to 2022. And I worked there, and I loved working there. Like, I loved sports, so we could talk sports all day. My managers, Jeff and Greg, were really cool, and I really liked working like on game days because like there's a bunch of people that want to talk sports, and honestly, like you never miss the Nebraska games.
So
Because and then like the store would be dead because it's like during the game, so you can watch the game and get paid, and so that was always fun. And then just like I said, being around sports, so I worked there for 4 or 5 years, and now I'm working for Special Olympics, and I'm an intern actually, so hopefully it expands more than 6 months, but we'll see. But I'm working for an intern right now through the summer, and I also have another podcast, but I think this is the reason why I got that job, because we did our podcast. So you and I are trying to promote this, so I just kind of promoted it to Special Olympics, and we had a couple athletes on there, Haley Wagner, and then Aaron Dury we had on like back in the fall. So if you haven't listened to those episodes, go back and listen. But yeah, though I think that helped because they saw like, oh, look what he can do, and I've been speaking for Special Olympics since 2014.
Yeah.
So senior of high school, I did like this thing called the ALPS program, and I think they just were letting me speak for years. Like I think 9 years I spoke for them and would volunteer and stuff with also playing sports. And then they were like, hey, would you want this internship? And I was like, well, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just moved to Lincoln. Yeah. I wasn't really looking forward to like getting on my resume and looking for jobs again. Because like I already had this great job at Nebraska Sports where they understood my situation. It was around sports. I really liked the people I work with, and now I got to start all over. But I lucked out and worked with Special Olympics because they all knew me, and we all have a great relationship there, and so now I work there. Yeah. So it's been really cool that this is kind of also what I wanted to start this podcast for. Was I wasn't getting the opportunities I wanted with jobs and stuff, so I just thought, why not create my own opportunity?
Take action.
And then bringing you on was fun because it's like it's more fun to do it with somebody than do it all by yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we can do stuff like this, and then when we interview, like we've got to interview Garrett Nelson, Jordan Larson, Coach Flynn, just all these different people. It's cool to hear 2 different people interviewing one. So yeah, that's been really cool.
And then we've interviewed people like we didn't even know, like the Northwestern coach was really cool. How they won a national championship, and spoiler, but like 2 players had cancer on the team. Like that's crazy. Like, I mean, just to know their stories, and that's what I wanted to do was, know people's stories because everyone's has a story and everybody faces
Right.
adversity. So
Yeah, and everyone faces it, but everyone responds to it differently, So,
right.
and how they've overcame it. So that's really cool. So over these years, Wyatt, you've got to do a lot of cool things from speaking, like Husker athletic stuff, to going to Florida, to go to Washington. So I know that we interviewed Jen Latta, but is there some other really cool people that you've got to meet throughout the years, or just even talk to, or whatnot?
Yeah, so I went to this thing called the NBA Cares All Star Game. So I went to the All Star weekend, and I got to play in this All Star game with like Horace Grant and Tony Kukoc, and they played with Michael Jordan, Dikembe Mutombo, and some WNBA players. Muggsy Bogues was um, a fan. I was a huge fan of his, and I like really looked up to Muggsy because he's the shortest player ever at 5'3" to play in the NBA. So I was like, and I played. It was more fun to play against him than have him on my team
Yeah.
because I would just go up against. He was the only guy that was my height. I actually walked over to him and I was talking to Muggsy, and this is one of the WNBA players that went up to me and like, are you gonna guard him? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna guard him. He's the only NBA player here. That's my height. So, and I actually made a spin move on him, but I missed a shot. If I would have made it, the place would have gone crazy. But and I actually got tripped by Muggsy too. We were going at it with the ball, and I got tripped, and I fell, and like my knee like cut open, and they wanted me to keep me out. I was like, no, like put me back in the game. So they like wrapped me up, but like for a month I had a scar, and so I was like, yeah, I got tripped by Muggsy Bogues. Here's my scar. So, but the NBA Cares thing was cool because, like I said, I'll never play in the NBA, and besides, Mitchell Hahn, who was Player of the Year my senior year of high school in Nebraska, and now he plays like professional overseas. I was second place on our high school team that got the like what it was like to play professional basketball. I didn't play, but I got to experience what it was like. I mean, we got these cool jerseys, we got free stuff, we rode this really nice bus to the game, and then we just they just treated us like NBA players and WNBA players, and so like I think I was one of 12 athletes out of the whole world to get invited because we had some people from out of the country too that came and that played. And so it was just a really cool experience. And it was kind of like a full circle thing. Like I thought back to when I couldn't play basketball in middle school to now I'm about to play with some ex NBA players and some Hall of Famers. And it was for me, but it was also like for my brother and I too, because we both worked so hard in basketball, and he would always play for me in high school and college because I couldn't play. But now I got the one to go out there and play for both of us because I know he would have loved to play in the NBA too. So it was just like kind of full circle thing, and I really thought back to like those middle school and high school years where I went through depression and stuff. Like I think like from fifth and sixth grade, and then end of high school and all through college, I really struggled mentally, like just with having a disability and going out into the real world. But I couldn't really go out fully into the real world because of my medical stuff. I mean, I went to college, but I didn't have a choice because I couldn't go far from home because of my back surgery and just a bunch of medical issues. So I think I really struggled with that. But to now go from my dream of playing in the NBA game, this is my first dream I ever had, like 8 years old. And I accomplished it at the age of like 24, which is crazy because I was like, man, I'm not even 30 yet, and I'm about to accomplish my NBA dream. So, and that was the thing too with Special Olympics. It helped me accomplish dreams. Like my junior year, I became the number one player in state for tennis, and then by like college age, I think 23, I was fully on varsity for his basketball, and then I played in 2 USA games. I went to Seattle in 2018 for tennis, where I got a gold and a bronze medal in gold doubles and bronze in singles. And then this past summer, Wes and I played in the USA games for basketball, and we finished like fourth in the country. So like to complete all my dreams as a kid before like the age of 30 was a huge thing to me. And I think like the moment that really like made it all happen was sixth grade. I was shooting in the driveway, and I just like made a decision. Like, I don't care what happens. I'm not gonna let anyone tell me what I can and can't do, and I'm gonna like go for my goals and dreams. I'm gonna practice harder than anybody else. I'm gonna train like a pro athlete trains, with practicing 8 hours a day, and I don't care how long it takes. The worst thing I ever did was make a time limit. I was like, all right, I'm gonna complete this dream here, this dream there. It's like, you shouldn't do that, because like life gets in the way, as you and I both know. Like, stuff happens. Like, I thought I was gonna make the USA Games in 2014. Nope, had a back surgery, and I had to wait an extra 8 years. It took me 8 years for that dream, 12 years for my NBA dream, and then like 15 or 14 years for me making it for the USA Games for basketball. And like, you just can't give up on your dreams when stuff gets super hard. And even on days where I was like, oh, it's not gonna happen, it's over. I'm not gonna make the USA Games for basketball, or I'm not gonna know what it's like to play in the NBA. Even though I would tell myself that, I think deep down inside I knew, like, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but one day that dream will come true. Now, I thought I'd be like 30 or 40, 50 years old, but like I said, to do it all in my 20s was just really cool. And to complete all my, after I did the USA Games, I just had this for basketball in 2022. I had this satisfaction of like, I just completed all my dreams as a kid at 27 years old. Like, that's crazy. So
just a lot of, and then not how you thought it would all pan out. Like you said, you thought you maybe wouldn't do these things until you're older, and just everything leading up to today. So a lot of cool opportunities, and for you to share more of your story and how you dealt with things. So with all this stuff, I know that you're super thankful for all this, but I know that you're still working hard for what's next. So is there other things coming up this summer or into the fall that you're going to, or that you're trying to qualify for Special Olympics?
yeah, I think the one thing is just I play in this tournament called the Experience, and it's the top 32 tennis players in the United States for Special Olympics. So that's something I always work towards, and that's like in January. So I'm always working towards that. I'm trying to like compete more outside of Special Olympics for tennis. Like, I'm playing in several like USTA tennis leagues, and I just want to prove that I can play like outside of Special Olympics in tennis and try to like win tournaments and everything. I've won a couple matches, but never won a tournament. But then, like, I think my goals now, since I completed all my dreams as a kid, which was all sports, now just like kind of like my dream is like I want to move out someday. I want to be independent, and that's hard for me to do. Like for you or like my brother Wes, like it's easy. Like your parents, like, okay, you're 18, see you later, And but for me, it's just really hard because, like I say, I get sick and I want to work full time, but I can't right now, just because of the health reasons and everything. But I know that it will happen someday. I just got to keep working towards it. Maybe having a family someday, girlfriend. I don't know, but just like kind of your everyday things. And like to a lot of people, like that might not seem like a dream, but I think like it does. Nothing is like not a dream. If you think like, oh, this is my dream and I want to do it, but it doesn't seem that big to other people, like that doesn't matter. As long as it's a big deal to you and that's your dream, then you should go for it. And that's what I've learned is like, moving out, like it's not that big a deal probably to other people, but to me it is a big deal. And that's what I want to do, is be independent. And so I'm just working towards that, really. That's my main goal. And then just growing this podcast, like you said, dude, I'd love to just do this as our job, right? It'd be sweet, like just a podcast all day.
And getting to connect with people we got to talk with Jordan Larson, like Garrett Nelson, who he's signed with the Dolphins, right? And so
and then like Greg Sharp and all those guys.
Courtney, remember at the beginning, we interviewed Jason Romano, who's the director of Sports Spectrum, who's interviewed. And then like some of sports is what he does. So
and then we got like some of our like old coaches and stuff from high school, and then like stories we didn't even know about, like Addie, that was cool. And so like hopefully, like I don't know, one day this will be our job, and I think one of my big dreams is like I'll write a book someday
That'd be cool.
and maybe have my own documentary movie someday. I think that will happen someday. Whether I'm alive or
Yeah.
dead, maybe I'll have a documentary movie made about me. I mean, it sounds crazy, but why not? That's what dreams are for. Like, just go for
Yeah,
it, dude.
and that's like literally what everything you just explained. Just go for it. And so I'm sure looking back, you're so glad that you worked because I was just thinking, well, what if you didn't work hard? What if you didn't? Then you never know. So I'm sure you're reflecting. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's days where you just don't want to, and then you don't. But then now you bounce back and you keep pursuing. Because what if you didn't work hard? Who knows where you would be? So
yeah, for sure. Like, there's always like that dark moment. Like, you and I both know, and I've had several. Like, I wanted to give up when I had my back surgery because like no one would have like said. Everyone would have been like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, he had this back surgery, but I was just kind of thinking like, I just can't give up now. Like, I still had a lot to accomplish at that moment in time at 18, 19 years old. I felt like, and I don't know, it's just something inside of me. Like, I like couldn't give up. I didn't know how. I just like it was just my reaction to just keep going, even on like the hard days. And like like family is a big thing, and friends. Like, my one good friend I had was like Kenny Bristol. Like, we would hang out when I was recovering from my back surgery, and that would always help. And then like we would go ride around Fremont. I'd be on my bike and he'd be like on his longboard or whatever he had, and just kind of like doing that like helped me like mentally just deal with trying to recover because I couldn't work out, and I just kind of just kept going, I guess. And honestly, watching like sports movies helped me when at those moments because like you think about movies like have you ever seen Mile American
yep.
before? Yeah. So you think about movies like that, Rudy, The Rookie, like or Invincible. I watched that the other day. Uh, like I was those guys. I felt like I had more in common with those guys than I did with my own brother sometimes because these guys like the odds were always against them and everyone counted them out, and I always felt like that, and so I just kept going, and I was just I'm just like these guys in these sports movies, and like that's me, and I'm gonna do what they did. So I'd say sports movies was a huge impact
Yeah.
on my life when I was sick and everything.
Well, awesome, Wyatt. Thanks for sharing every little detail today, and definitely more to come. Which there's just so many aspects of both of our stories and everyone's story. So appreciate you sharing, Wyatt.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Jake.